Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we are diving into a story that has South Africans shaking their heads, laughing in disbelief, and at the same time fuming with anger. It's the tale of former ANC spokesperson Pule Mabe, a fleet of waste collection tuk-tuks, a R27 million tender, and a courtroom drama that feels more like a soap opera than a trial. On the 27th of August 2025, the Palm Ridge Magistrate's Court became the stage of this high-profile spectacle. Mabe, his wife Mmatlhekelo, and 5 co-accused were supposed to face the music in their fraud case. Instead, the whole thing was pushed back to February 2026. The postponement immediately set social media on fire. People were asking, is justice being delayed, or is justice being carefully built? The case itself goes back to 2017, when Mabe's company, Enviro Mobi, landed a Gauteng government tender worth R27 million. The deal was supposed to help waste pickers in Ekurhuleni by providing them with 200 waste collection tuk-tuks. On paper, it sounded like a clever, innovative project. But according to investigators, it was anything but clean. The Special Investigating Unit later found that the contract had hidden ties to Mabe, who was an MP at the time, and that the vehicles were either defective, undelivered, or left to gather dust in storage yards. To make matters worse, the city ended up paying an extra R6 million in storage fees, as if taxpayers were renting a parking lot for broken three-wheelers. Now, here's where it gets spicy. The SIU froze some of Mabe's flashy assets, including a Stein City property and a Porsche Carrera. And we all know how South Africans feel about politicians and their luxury toys. On X, formerly Twitter, people had a field day. Some joked that the Porsche should be converted into a tuk-tuk and donated back to the waste pickers. Others asked why the poor must keep paying for rich men's toys. Inside the courtroom, Prosecutor Magdalene Montreedi-McLean asked for more time to look at representations from the accused. These are basically submissions to the National Prosecuting Authority where the defense argues why charges should be dropped. If the NPA agrees, the case could collapse before it even begins. Outside court, however, Mabe was as defiant as ever. In a line that has now become viral, he said, "The tuk-tuks were delivered. Even if Jesus Christ comes tomorrow, that won't change." That kind of bravado sparked both laughter and outrage. Some South Africans mocked him, saying maybe Jesus should actually come back just to fact-check the delivery notes. But humor aside, the case cuts deep into South Africa's long-running struggle with corruption and accountability. This isn't just about tuk-tuks. It's about a pattern where public money meant to uplift communities ends up in the pockets of politically connected elites. Waste pickers in Ekurhuleni were promised tools to make their work easier, to bring dignity to an often overlooked sector. Instead, they got stuck in the middle of a scandal, while millions of rand vanished into thin air. The co-accused list is just as telling. Alongside Mabe and his wife, we find business associate Tinaiko Mohansi, and former Gauteng officials Thandika Mbasa, Matilda Gasila, Abdullah Ismail, and Loyiso Mkwana. These names point to a network that was not just about one man but about an ecosystem of decision-makers. And this is why the postponement to February 2026 is so frustrating. For many South Africans, every delay feels like déjà vu. They've seen big corruption cases drag on for years, only to end with acquittals, withdrawals, or endless appeals. That's why #Pule Mabe was trending after the postponement. People want closure, they want accountability, and frankly, they want to see whether the law applies to everyone equally. Because if it doesn't, then South Africa's democracy takes another knock. Let's also remember who Pule Mabe is. This isn't just some businessman. He was a member of parliament, a national spokesperson for the ANC, and a rising political figure once tipped for higher office. His fall from grace is dramatic. From political heavyweight to court regular, his journey mirrors the ANC's own internal battles with credibility. There's another angle to this story. Why would Mabe and his team push so hard for representations to the NPA? It suggests that they believe they have enough technical or procedural grounds to challenge the charges. They might argue that the vehicles were in fact delivered, that the tender process was above board, or that they personally weren't involved in any wrongdoing. If the NPA accepts these arguments, then all of this could end in a whimper, not a bang. On the other hand, if the state is using the extra time to tighten its case, February 2026 could bring a bombshell. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. South Africans are tired of seeing high-profile corruption cases play out like theatre, while ordinary citizens face power cuts, potholes, water shortages, and skyrocketing food prices. Every time a case is delayed, it sends a message that powerful people can play the system. That's why people were so quick to mock Mabe's "Jesus Christ" comment. For many, it symbolizes the arrogance of political elites who think they can spin their way out of accountability. But as much as this is a serious case, you have to admit, there is a level of absurdity here. Imagine it, R27 million, flashy cars, Stein City mansions, and at the center of it all, a fleet of tuk-tuks. It's the kind of plot that even satirical comedians would reject as too far-fetched. And yet, here we are. So where does this leave us? For now, the accused are out on bail, the NPA is considering its options, and the SIU continues to dig deeper. February 2026 will be a decisive month. Either the charges are dropped, leaving South Africans fuming about yet another untouchable politician, or the case moves forward, finally holding Mabe and his co-accused to account. Until then, the public will keep watching, tweeting, and joking about tuk-tuks that never seem to arrive. One thing is certain, this story is not just about vehicles. It is about trust, governance, and the state of South African politics. So, what do you think? Was this tender just another example of daylight robbery dressed up as service delivery, or do you think Mabe and his team might have a point about their innocence? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into South Africa's most dramatic political sagas. Thank you for watching, and as always, see you next time.